Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the March 15th Salisbury City Council work session. We have a fairly short agenda today, followed by a closed session. First up on the agenda is Laura Soper, and please lead us through the discussion, Laura.
Good afternoon, Council. Following our meeting 2 weeks ago, I started doing some research just to get some thoughts from our restaurant community on what their thoughts are on the third-party delivery commission cap. I reached out to them. I reached out to some other jurisdictions where we've seen these caps enacted, and responses I've got have been kind of twofold. The local restaurant community has really expressed an interest in seeing this cap. They are generally very supportive, but there is a mixed feeling of, well, what could happen? Would there be ramifications? And that unknown has been kind of what's driven that conversation, along with discussion on other subjects related to third-party delivery. So we know that there have been some serious issues with third-party delivery beyond how much money they take out. There's a general overtone of, these organizations are just hammering us on fees. They're hammering us on if there are delivery mistakes. There are other issues with these companies beyond this 30% allocation that goes to them. So that, I would say most of my conversations were more around that. And every time I'd kind of try and bring it back to this discussion of, well, how do you feel about the third party cap? They'd say, yeah, we want to see that. We shouldn't be paying them 30%, but we have been relying on it. We do rely on it. So that I wanted just to provide you an update that was the general overtone of those conversations I was having with the businesses. I did, some didn't have the chance to talk to me, so I did send out a survey. And again, there was an overwhelming support of this cap. But then even in the comments, there's still the concern of, well, we don't like this cap, but, or we like the cap, but what would happen? So that being said, I started really diving into some of the other towns where this has happened. And in most cases, it was a much larger jurisdiction or a county-wide enactment. So there was concern over the disparity between city versus the county not enacting one. And in most cases, the other areas that have done it, it's been a much larger city, or they've had county or state backing that have come in and enacted their own. So that being said, Salisbury would definitely be one of the smaller cities to enact this legislation if we decided to. But based on my research in these other areas, there was not a lot of evidence of a negative reaction on part of the company. So again, it's kind of a twofold discussion that I don't think anything would happen if it was enacted, but it's not something that we could guarantee. So I'll open the table to discussion. If anyone has any questions or comments, I'm willing to give you more information on the research I've done.
Okay, thank you, Laura. April, any questions or comments? You're on mute.
No questions or comments.
Okay, thank you. Angela?
No questions or comments at this time.
Michelle?
No real questions. You got a lot of really good feedback. So I'm glad to see that everybody was pretty responsive. That's about it.
Do we have consensus to move it forward if there's no questions or comments? April?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Well, we have 3 consensus to move it forward. I stated my concerns last time. My concerns are pretty much the same. And I know that we asked the top three deliverers if they would consider voluntarily reducing, and they said no. One of my fears is if we put this in and they pull out, then it all goes away. And what do the smaller businesses do? Because depending on your business, from my perspective, if I'm breaking even, it's paying the people who are working there, helping pay the people that are working there, because that's in your cost. I still have that. I'll think about it over the week, but I still have that concern on my end, and the concern about if they don't have the ability to move the same amount they've been moving, what are they going to do with their dead inventory, the inventory that expires, considering it's food?
Mhm.
So we do have consensus. So Mrs. Nichols, if you'll put that on the agenda for the next council meeting, I'd appreciate it.
Will, if I can just add something really quick, I will just mention that in the conversations that I did have, a lot of the businesses have actually been moving away from the third-party delivery companies in the discussions of just how they're run and the issues with the companies. Some of the restaurants that I spoke to said, we broke up with insert third-party delivery company here because of how many issues they had, and went to in-house or found a different company that doesn't charge these fees. So there has been a general consensus to try and move away from them. But that being said, I know that's not an option for every business. So that was just something I wanted to add.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it. Ms. Glanz, I don't see the chief or the deputy chief. Are they on here?
They're not. Chief was at a training and I can't get in touch with her. I'm happy to touch on these topics. I'm aware of
Okay.
them.
Let's go over the first one, the PRAR retention grant.
Yeah, so this is I'm not sure it's the same grant, but we've had similar grants like this before, where there are dollars out there to support retention, not so much for recruitment. We're trying to hang on to folks that we already have. And we know that in that year 1 to 5, we lose a fair amount. And then, once they're here, 10 or so, they're usually committed. And, their retirement is here, all of that. So focusing more heavily on the front end is where those dollars are associated, but it's $24,000 that is spread out in different brackets to support with that. And again, we did this, we've done this last year, I remember, which was very much appreciative, especially with COVID. That was over the summer. So this is just another one of those that we're excited to have received.
And for the record, what's the amount?
It's $24,000 total. And then there's different.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Comments, questions, and should we move it forward? Ms. Jackson.
Moving forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Blake?
Just one question. Do we know what types of things that are done for retention, as far as, is it exclusively just for help to offset training costs, or is it advertisement, or is it?
Oh no, this is a cash incentive to our employees. Depending on their years of service, they get a certain amount. So years 1 through 3 would get a $610 retention incentive bonus. as it goes up.
Oh, I see. I'm blowing that section up now so I can see it clearly. I see what you're talking about now. Yes, I'm for it. Move it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Gregory?
Move it forward.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, and I agree. We'll move
Yeah.
it forward. Mrs. Nichols? Next up, we have an ordinance accepting GOCCP funding for NIBRS training.
Yeah, so this is a grant that will help with training our team on a new data system. So all policing is switching to a new way of tracking crime. So right now, when you have a crime, say you have a burglary, we only account for the highest level crime. So you only get burglary. You don't get theft, property damage, breaking and entering. And so switching over to the National Incident-Based Reporting System, NIBRS, we will be mandated to report for everything. So everybody's dealing with this across the country at the same time. So everybody's stats when we switch over will look like in that year from 21 to 22, whenever it's happening, a boom in crime, which isn't going to be the case, but it is going to take our team a little bit of effort to learn the new system. The public's going to have to get used to it, the press, that sort of thing. So that is coming. We have no choice in the matter, and we're just going to have to sort of manage expectations. So it's $15,000 to help our team get up to speed on that.
Thank you. Questions or comments and move it forward, Ms. Jackson?
No questions, comments, move it forward.
Thank you. Ms. Blake?
Just one, I definitely want to move it forward, but did somebody from the police department apply for this grant, or is this a grant that is given because of this new system's coming? Because they've been so awesome, and I didn't know if this is one of those that somebody internally found.
It's through GOCCP, and so we've got a good Governor's Office of Crime Control. We frequently go after those, so I'm assuming that Dave Weinstein applied for this.
Yeah.
Sometimes they tell us to apply, but this just is helpful. So I'm not sure.
Well, it's very good work. I mean, I like the fact that we're like being proactive when we know new things are coming. Up to speed. Definitely move forward.
Thank you. Mrs. Gregory?
No questions or comments. Move it forward.
Thank you. This sounds like a great topic for a marketing campaign once we do this, because we know that it's going to, as soon as they see the numbers, it's going to go crazy.
Right.
So I think a few bucks spent on marketing wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, we'll get out in front of it when it's appropriate. We still have a little ways to go.
Great. Thank you. All right, next up we have an item. I don't know if Mr. Tillman or Mr. Golba is on. They're both on. I don't know who's going to handle it. Associate? Well, they're both looking now. Who's going to handle it? Raise your hand.
Peter, this is one that he
Peter.
worked on. He was going to
Great.
present.
Associate Attorney Peter Golba is going to update us on this item. You're muted, Pete. Although you don't show muted. Mr. Gold was trying to get onto the audio.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. We got you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, my son left the room and I don't know how to use his device, but I figured it out.
No problem.
So what you have here are two deeds, and there's a plat, and the plat is attached as Exhibit A. There's an ordinance and two deeds, and what happened was The triangular piece of property on the corner intersection of Washington Street and Eastern Shore Drive was gifted to Union Realty, and Union had to pay the taxes based on the assessed value. That was an unusable piece of property. And the alleyway is now being closed, and half to the midpoint of the alley will go to the adjoining property owners. So Arapahoe Realty is getting parcel 2 and Union is getting parcel 1 and 3. Both LLCs have the same managing member, Michael Dunn. And this ordinance is basically splitting the alley in half and deeding that part of the alley to the property on both sides of it. So that's what's being done here. The alley's being closed and abandoned, and the deeds basically are quitclaim deeds from the city. That accomplishes that. And Mr. Dunn will have to record these and pay the recording fees, whatever they may be, once the deeds are executed by the city. And the ordinance spells out which parcels are being donated. And Les Sherrill did this plat, and it's, shows parcels 1, 2, and 3, and we verified the property descriptions with Les, so those are contained in the 2 deeds. And the only thing that has to be fixed is on Exhibit A on the Union deed. It just has to be tabbed forward a little bit so it starts on the next page. Right now, it's starting on the bottom of page 3, but it just has to be moved forward so it starts on page 4.
Gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Golba.
You're
Questions or comments? Ms. Jackson?
No questions, no comments.
Thank you. Ms. Blake?
No questions or comments.
And move it forward?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Mrs. Gregory?
No questions or comments. Move it forward.
Thank you, and I agree. Move it forward. Thank you, Mr. Golba.
You're welcome.
Made it. Mrs. Nichols, could we move that on to the agenda, please? All right, at this time, we'll take some remarks from the councils before we go into closed session. Ms. Glantz, you have any comments for the good of the order?
We are going to get updates on the vaccination clinic at the hospital, at the Civic Center tomorrow. Jack, at our 2 o'clock call from Kathy Fiddler. So we will share the details of that with everybody when they are available. But we're excited to learn more. And then something really small, but is really cool. We just installed a refilling water bottle station in the park by Ben's Red Swings, and we're going to be adding some other of those in the community, so folks have access to water all year round. So a small but mighty improvement. So.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson?
Still celebrating Women's History Month. And COVID, please just be reminded to get your shots when able to get them. Remember to social distance, sanitize, and just be careful. Be mindful that COVID is still around. It's not gone. So just do the necessary, have to do the necessary precautions to keep yourself safe and others.
Thank you, April.
Mhm.
Ms. Blake?
I was so tickled to give blood this Saturday. So please, if you're healthy, finally my red blood cells were like doing the right thing, and everything came together and I was able to give blood, and I felt so good because it's so helpful to so many people. It does so much. Your pint of blood helps so many people. So if you're healthy enough, please, please donate blood.
Thank you, Angela. Mrs. Gregory?
Just a little thing, the Disability Advisory Committee has created its Facebook page and an Instagram account, so you can follow them on social media. If you've got me added on Facebook, I probably already sent you an invite, so please go give it a like, and we're looking forward to all the stuff we get to talk about on there. And just, yeah, same with COVID, please keep wearing your masks, and if you get a chance to get the vaccine, please do it.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, that committee is near and dear to my heart. I actually started that back up under Jim Ireton, and I'm glad to see it is still active and doing well. And also, we have a press conference tomorrow talking about safety statistics, which is going to be pretty interesting. So if you're available to look in, please do so. Wear your masks. We're not out of the woods yet. The numbers actually the last couple of days have been going up a little, where I think we're at 5.28 yesterday. So keep wearing your masks. And at this time, I will entertain a motion to enter into closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of an appointee, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more of the specific individuals, according to Article 3-3-305B. Do I have
So
a motion to enter into closed session?
Second.
I did so
I'm
moved.
sorry, who made? Angela?
I made the motion.
All right. Blake made the motion. Mrs. Gregory seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Ms. Jackson,
Aye.
Ms. Blake,
Aye.
Mrs. Gregory,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. The vote is 4-0 with one absent. We are now in closed session. Mr. Golba and Mr. Tillman, you guys are excused. Thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. We've just come out of closed session, the purpose of which was to discuss the appointment of a candidate, and we have done that. So thank you to everyone. Have a great day and a great week, and we'll see you next Monday. We are adjourned.